It's 25 years now since Hyundai commenced operations in India, and a part of the celebrations is the 2021 Great India Drive. Now, over the past few years, well, since 2015 to be precise, the Great India Drive has turned into an opportunity for us to offer you something that's very different from the usual automotive reviews that we churn out every other day. And this time, I'm taking the Hyundai venue from Hyundai India's headquarters in Gurgaon to Manali in Himachal Pradesh. And this one's powered by a 1-liter turbocharged petrol engine, of course. But we're not going there just for the scenic beauty or the fantastic driving roads that this route has to offer. And the real reason is something that I will tell you about shortly.
Since its launch in 2019, the Hyundai Venue has always been one of the most popular compact SUVs in the country, and I'm glad it's our choice of wheels for what is Turbocharged's first Great India Drive. I was confident the Venue's compact exterior dimensions and spacious interiors would make it ideal for the mountains. But before that, I had some open highways to cover onwards to Chandigarh. And that's where the Venue's 1-liter turbocharged petrol engine proved to be a boon, offering 120 PS on tap, which is among the highest power outputs in the compact SUV segment. The strong engine performance coupled with Hyundai's IMT or intelligent manual transmission, which has eliminated the need for a clutch pedal, meant the highway run was not only quick but also very comfortable. Highway stability is also very commendable, and in fact from behind the wheel, the Venue feels like a larger SUV than what its compact footprint suggests given the planted feel. And then it was time for some food. The Venue is also equipped with Hyundai's BlueLink connected technology that helped me navigate to a food joint that was clean, hygienic, and of course popular as well. Food at a dhaba is pretty much the essence of a road trip in North India, and I just had to stop by for some lip-smacking makke ki roti and sarson ka saag and paneer. And then it was time to pass through Chandigarh, also known as the City Beautiful. Chandigarh is a gateway of sorts when driving from the Delhi NCR towards the Himalayas, and is a pit stop you just cannot miss. The city has its own vibe and one that always delights. And Chandigarh is also where the highway turns into a winding road as you start climbing up the Himalayan foothills.
Highways done, it's now time to enter the hills, and the Venue is an SUV that we have always liked for the fine balance that it offers between ride and handling. The suspension is well tuned, the steering offers good feedback, which means that the Venue has always been an SUV that we have liked throwing into corners. And well, that should certainly translate into a good time behind the wheel for me on this road trip. So while the arrow straight highways from Gurgaon to Chandigarh helped me enjoy the Venue's engine performance and highway manners, it was now time to reacquaint myself with its able handling. The Venue has always impressed with its dynamics, particularly the confident handling and sure-footed feel around corners. And driving towards Manali, I was able to enjoy this side of the SUV rather well. Now, driving up the mountains is something that I'm always looking forward to. It just feels so nice. It's almost like it's soothing to the senses because you've got such beautiful vistas around you. The overall pace of life is a lot calmer than the hustle and bustle that we see in our metro cities. And yes, besides the one important thing, which is the fact that the air here is so much cleaner than what we have in the cities. And that really sort of feels good, overall, mentally, physically. And I guess having a good set of wheels amplifies that feeling. And the Hyundai Venue here, it's really proving to be an excellent companion with its turbocharged petrol engine.
More importantly, as I drove on, the road surface seemed to deteriorate in places, something which is very common in the mountains. But the Venue seemed perfectly at ease, taking it all in its stride. The suspension setup is on the firmer side, which results in the SUV's likable handling, but at the same time the ride quality is also very good, making the Venue a well-rounded package. And its fine balance between ride and handling is one of the reasons why the Venue is so popular with compact SUV buyers. And finally, the visuals of Manali greeted us. Manali is one of the most popular destinations in Himachal Pradesh and is bustling with activity pretty much throughout the year. It is known as much for its natural beauty and scenic views as it is for its food and overall vibe. But we were in Manali for something else, something very special.
The real reason why we are in Manali this time is to meet somebody really special. We are meeting a woman entrepreneur who has been living in the Himalayas in Himachal Pradesh for the past 5 years and has been spending her time doing a lot of research on the local produce here, a lot of agricultural produce, and even helping the farmers, working with them to ensure that they get a solid platform for getting all their produce into the market. And now to meet the person that we have come to meet, driving all the way from Delhi, Amshu from Thapasu Foods. Now, Amshu has been working for a little more than 5 years now, moving around in Himachal Pradesh, trying to help some of the farmers from some of the most remote areas of Himachal Pradesh, in Spiti particularly, and trying to give them a bit of a platform to sort of help get their produce out and, well, do everything for them that she can.
First of all, thank you and welcome to Himachal.
Thank you.
Thapasu Foods got incorporated around 2018,
Okay.
and we've been under research since 2016 sort of, and we work with Lahaul Spiti, Kullu and Mandi regions in Himachal, and we also started a project down south where our registered office is in Mandya district in Karnataka with sugarcane there this year. So this is our journey and like a short frame of how we've been working. And I moved to Himachal in 2016 from Bangalore.
Wow. Yeah. Quite a shift, I would say.
Yeah, it is.
Fantastic. So I think I would like to first, maybe let's start off by meeting one of the farmers if we can.
Yeah, definitely.
Meeting the farmers and their families was a heartwarming experience. Every time we go to Himachal Pradesh, it's all about driving or riding, shooting the cars and motorcycles, soaking in the breathtaking scenery and coming back. But this trip was different. This time, I was getting to experience a very different side of Himachal Pradesh though, as I was meeting the simple village folk, understanding their lives, and also how Thapasu Foods is impacting their lives. More importantly, I got to understand how, as a woman entrepreneur, Amshu is creating a platform for the farmers to be able to get their produce to markets outside of Himachal Pradesh. She also travels to the Spiti Valley regularly to meet the farmers and understand their needs in terms of getting the produce to the market, and I was glad I was able to meet some of the farmers with her and enjoy their hospitality as well. The next morning, I was to accompany Amshu to the Indian Institute of Technology in Mandi, as she also works closely with IIT Mandi for research on various agricultural produce. This was also an opportunity for me to understand everything Amshu has been doing as a woman entrepreneur. She quit her corporate job in her hometown of Bangalore about 5 years ago, moved to Himachal, and incorporated Thapasu Foods in 2018. She has been working towards sourcing different fruits, berries, and more, which hold a lot of medicinal value, and has now set her base in Manali.
Now, saying that a road trip is a lot more about the journey than the destination does sound a bit cliched, but when driving up the Himalayas, it really holds true. I mean, I found this beautiful little shack by the side of the road. I've got a fantastic view, hot breakfast. There's a bit of a nip in the air, so enjoying a hot cup of tea. And more importantly, the roads here are really narrow, which means that something with a compact footprint like the Hyundai Venue not only makes it easier to drive, but also parking it is a breeze.
I was in awe of the sprawling campus of IIT Mandi, which sits surrounded by mountains on all sides. Of course, it was a pleasure meeting some of the faculty there who Amshu works closely with. In fact, IIT Mandi also supports a body called EVOC, which stands for Enabling Women of Command, which is the name of the village where the IIT is located. It was also interesting to note how EVOC is working towards empowerment of women from the region, something I got to learn about from Sandhya, one of the faculty members there.
Sandhya, firstly, welcome to Turbocharged.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. And if you could just tell us about EVOC and how you guys do everything here.
So EVOC stands for Enabling Women of Command Valley. The Command Valley is this area and
Right.
about 15 kilometers around from here.
Okay.
And includes about 5 panchayats that we are working with currently. And we are a micro incubator for rural women enterprises. So that means that in this area, we found that the women had skills, but they didn't know how to economize on it, how to build a business around it. So that's the genesis of eValk. We tried to provide them with that incubation at a very grassroots level.
Okay.
This model of eValk as an NGO, the local community, academia like IIT Mandi, a lot of very relevant research happening in labs. We have actually been able to take it till the farm.
Okay.
And industry partners.
Okay.
Now, a strong network of all these stakeholders is what we have found is going to be useful for getting these micro enterprises up. So, Thapasu is one perfect example of our initial successes with this model.
And overall, so, what sort of numbers roughly in terms of how many farmers or women are you engaging?
We have about 150 plus farmers we're working with. For Thapasu in particular, there are 2 women self-help groups that are working for the current scale, but we plan to expand that. And these 2, one helps in the packaging. They're about 6 women group.
Okay.
I mean, it's a group of 6 women.
Right.
And another group helps us procure, these kind of rhododendrons from higher altitudes.
Yeah.
Another set of 6 to 10 women actually there.
Okay.
This time, eValk has also tried to come. Walnuts here are really great. So we have come up with the branding of eValk Himalayan walnuts through the FPCs.
Right.
And like you said, what happens is locally people already know it and they're like, that's fine. But we've kind of, as a pilot, reached out to outside Chandigarh and Bangalore, and they just love it, right? Because it's fresh walnuts and we are trying to ensure as far as possible the quality that we grade it to the highest premium quality. So, like you said, I think that's what Thapasu is also doing a great job in getting that out there about some of the producers that would have been, even the locals don't realize the value till we've started engaging them, and then they're like, you're talking about this grass, you're talking about this herb. So that is something outside the business realm that is subtly coming up. That pride for your local foliage, for your local customs.
Correct.
Something which when I came here, I found that people didn't completely understand.
So, thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you so much. All the best.
Thank you. Okay.
Post the trip to the IIT, I also accompanied Amshu to one of the nearby villages. Amshu works closely with the women there as part of her association with eValk, besides which she is also trying to do her bit for the women and helping in uplifting their lives. Meeting Amshu, getting to understand her life and experiencing a very small part of it indeed was a very different experience for me. In fact, I was glad that Hyundai's Great India Drive gave me an opportunity to see Himachal, usually looked upon as a tourist destination, in a very different light. And spending 2 days with Amshu and seeing everything she's doing as a woman entrepreneur at the helm of a startup for a social cause was inspiring for me, to say the least too.
Must have been quite a switch from you, the corporate world, Bangalore, metro city, and then jumping and moving on to a place like Himachal Pradesh. How has that been?
It's been a flip, I would say, a 360-degree flip, because before 2016, life has been cities and metros and global arenas and, corporate jobs and meeting world leaders and, economic forums and investment banking, all the big terms that you can think of. And then today coming back to a place where you are working with the community, the humble, the true essence of being alive and living, just living and, people who are grounded and who are content, happy, content, So I think it's a lot of human element that I have decided to incorporate in my life. So for me, that is something which I'm okay to trade off for the life that I had there, and a decision that I made to move to Himachal, basically.
Wow, that's something. I don't think that's a sacrifice that too many people can actually make.
It does. I mean, if you can term it as a sacrifice, because of course you're away from family and friends and all of that. But I think there's a feeling of content in some way of, that sacrifice is something that is okay to have for what you're getting in return for that one life that you have, you know. So it's absolutely good.
Yeah, of course, and I guess nothing better than doing all of this for a social cause.
Yeah, absolutely. Community, social cause, economic impact, biodiversity preservation, sustainability, you know, preserving the knowledge, preserving the seeds, food security, everything, you know, that we work upon. It touches on all these aspects. So
but how have you tried to make it all sustainable, you know?
So for us, we work on 4 SDG goals that we designed through the lockdowns, and the team has been pretty amazingly equipped, you know, with that community work and for that. And in one of the SDG goals that we work, it touches a lot on sustainability, sustainable life, and biodiversity, forest preservation, and tribal population preservation, and all of that. And the major concept of bringing sustainability for us is, of course, the way we procure the producers, but at the same time, when we bring it to a consumer, you know, how do you put that sustainability into a package, you know, that goes into their basket or their wardrobes or some, you know, like their shelves, basically. So that comes as a packaging that we do. So the packaging that we do is, I do a lot of research, you know, talking to all kinds of people across the globe to understand what materials are biodegradable, what materials are biocompostable, oxy-biodegradable, you know. You have recycled papers, recycled cardboards and all that. So one of that you can see is the infusion packages that we have. The infusion packages, I spent about a month and a half in Bangalore designing the tea covers, the tea bag covers basically. So the tea bag covers are made up of biodegradable paper with resins, and you know, it's packed with biodegradable tea bags, goes into a recycled cardboard box with our labeling and branding and everything. So it's just 100% biodegradable.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
It was fantastic having you with us, and you know, experiencing, like I said, a different side of Himachal Pradesh, not the touristy side, so the more human side.
Absolutely, it's been a pleasure having you and your team here, and flying all the way from Pune and being part of this, you know, the whole what are we doing in Himachal. So you're more than happy to visit us again and again.
All right. Thank you so much. And with that, it's time for me to say goodbye to the mountains yet again. And yet again, the feeling is the same, that of not wanting to go back home. I mean, every single trip to the Himalayas is mesmerizing. That's because how beautiful this region is. But this trip has been extra special. And the reason behind that is the fact that this time, I got to experience a very different side of Himachal Pradesh. The things that I did this time are what most people probably would not even think of doing here. But thanks to Thapasu Foods and Amshu, who took me around, had me meet the farmers and their families, understand everything that Thapasu Foods is doing to help the farmers in terms of getting their produce to the market, the women empowerment bit, all of it has been a fantastic experience. Well, Hyundai might call this the Great India Drive, but personally for me, I think this is one of my most special road trips ever.